Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo. In this episode, we're going to take a look at Bone Wars. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And if you have, I really do appreciate that support. Thank you very much. So, this game is its own thing. It really is. There is not, in a sense, a lot going on, but in another sense, there's an awful lot going on. And what do I mean by that? Well, what you're trying to do in this game is you're literally trying to publish papers to try to ally yourself with one or the other of these two famous but feuding paleontologists from about 120 years ago, and get the most loyalty points so that you can get actual points at the end of the game, points throughout the game during the mid-game scoring, and be basically better than your competition. And the way you're doing that is you are trying to go to these dig sites, get these dinosaur bones, get these specific dinosaur cards, and then do almost like a contract fulfillment while you're publishing. And so you can publish on, for instance, this one, all right? And you notice that there is a blue and a red bone. I happen to have both of those. But you can also add any of these gray bones to it, one or the other, or both, to make the publication even stronger. And that's how you play these books down over here. You get loyalty points for doing that, and you ultimately advance on, get these, basically these reputation points, okay? And these are what you need to win the game. Now, the other thing is you can change sides throughout this game, going from one to another to work on a different person. And depending on what university you kind of establish your home base on, will be the one that you are allied with at that time. But you can switch. There's ways to switch in the game. It all depends on which side your little token is, okay? And how am I doing all this? I'm doing this through card play. So I have a hand of available cards over here. Some of them are team cards. Some of them are personal cards, like paleontologist cards. And then some of them are these species cards that work kind of as a wild. And when I play them in these slots, I have to play them in the slots left to right. They cost something based on the card itself, like this one would cost me, and this is an upgraded card, 2 money to play plus any of the slot fee. And then I would get 4 of these dig actions, or team actions, pardon me. And the different actions you can take are varied. You can move. You can dig a certain level depending on your the level of your digging capacity at the time you play the card. You can put down these little encampments. When you do that, it increases either the amount of free moves you can make or the amount of cards you can display up here. You could take these cards. You could take this action over here. You could take the action of any place where you have a tent, even if you're not there. And you're going to move this guy around to get to these places. And that's the team side of things. And that's basically how you're doing most of your gathering of resources in this game. Or you can take the paleontologist action where you would either be publishing the reports, like I talked about, or even debunking someone else's report by trading in not different types of bones, but the same type to move a report or a publication from one side to the other, scoring loyalty for that other side that you're working with, and also kind of moving the shift of books over here, or these books, these publications, so that when these score, they're going to score at a higher category. Also, you can claim some of these achievements. The achievements have to do with the types of dinosaur species cards you put down under here. And you can also do these minor finds where you would catalog a dinosaur card and then get a bonus over here. So there's a lot of that stuff, but there's also the aspect that you can upgrade your deck a little bit by getting better cards. You can get these paleontologist cards that give you bonuses. You will get these species cards that also are necessary for lots of things, plus you can play them wild. You have to upgrade your storage to be able to hold more bones, or you want to at least. What else? Like I talked about these camps. Lots of stuff goes into this game. And then you have your profession where it's like your turn order track that gives you rewards also. So I kind of gave you a data and you can also upgrade your slots, making them cheaper, or even adding additional card slots you can play on. And you're basically going to play this game in 4 rounds, and you're going to take turns back and forth until you pass. And you pass when either you run out of money, so you can't afford to play any more cards, you decide you don't want to play any more cards, or you're out of slots to play cards. Now, when you're playing against the solo opponent in this game does almost exactly the same types of turns that you do and has to pay for everything and obey all the rules of the game. The only thing they get is a little bit different, is a little flexibility on how their bones match, because they don't necessarily take intelligent matches based on the cards that they have, the species cards. They also only have to pay one workshop or one team action to take a card instead of 2. And there's just a couple other things that just gently make it so that they even out in the difficulty that they would have for you. Now, you also can upgrade the difficulty. So when they upgrade their deck, they're going to pull from this deck of cards, which is better. But if you really want to play a harder opponent, you can use this deck, and it's even harder. It's not the easiest spot to play, but it's not the hardest spot either, because it all takes the exact same turns in the way you do, with some minor changes. So even if you were to I can't even fathom all this, I just need to know the differences of the small things, but I have to play this guy exactly like I would play it, except for these cards dictate what to do. That's exactly what you're going to do, which is really nice, because this game's got a lot of little idiosyncrasies. So it is good that I don't have to memorize where it does and doesn't obey the rules either. So I appreciate that. All right, so let me show you a turn or two so you get an idea. I'm in the 4th round of the game. All right, and so I've already established my profession. He's actually going to go first. And so he flips over a card, and based on the color of this card, it tells me the type of action I'm going to take. In this case, since the color is green, I'm going to take a team action. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look and see, do I have a species card that has an icon here that matches this? No, I don't. So since I don't, I go to the next thing. That would have been what I would do up the top. Then, since I don't, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this card here. And I'm going to then, because you never pay for the cards, the card slot was 0. It was free for him. I'm going to start executing the green turn as it shows here. However, in this case, this is an upgraded card, so it's going to give me a little bonus. I'm actually going to draw one of these personal paleontologist cards first, just because it tells me to do that. Then I'm going to start with this arrow. And the first thing it wants me to do, and how many action points do I have, by the way? Well, I've got 2, okay? 2 to take. And so I'm going to take a look and see, what do I got to do first? It says draw a dinosaur bone, or take a dig from the dinosaur bone, right? Well, I'm not at a spot, so I can't do that, because I shouldn't say, the opponent's still over here in the university. Then it says place a tent. Still can't do that because I'm in the university spot. Then it says draw another one or dig another one. Can't do that. Finally, it says, all right, go and move according to this thing going clockwise, okay, or counterclockwise. So that means I would start here, and then I get on my arrow again and follow right back up. Well, now when it says draw or dig a bone, I can dig one, and my limit right here is 1. So I have to dig this one up, and he puts it right here. I go to the next thing. He wants me to build a tent. I can't build a tent because there's no spaces. Draw another bone. Well, I can't draw a bone because I don't have the depth to go again. So it has me move again, and it's going to have me move in the counterclockwise rotation, and then it goes back to draw a bone. You see how that works? So it's not that tough once you get an idea of either I'm going to do the top part based on it being purple, or I'm going to do the bottom part, and this keeps cycling. You'll always be able to do this. And what you got to remember is, if you can't accomplish the action, you got to go to the next step. And eventually, you'll start to take some moves and things like that to do it. Now, he has 2 free moves, so I didn't even have to spend a movement action for any of those. That's why I was able to move 2 times for free without costing one of my action points, all right? That may not necessarily make sense, but trust me on this, that's what's going on here. So his turn's done. Now comes to me. Well, I am on the red side, which is not the greatest side to be on, because he flipped to the blue and he took a couple books from the red, and I was already bumping up the blue. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm not on the red side. I'm on the blue side. I started over there. I just forgot to flip this. So I want to bump this up as far as possible. And I'm also giving you a little credit here, so it doesn't necessarily make sense since I have what I need to do a publication. I'm going to do the publication first. So I'm going to spend this card right here. He's going to let me do the publication. His bonus would be if I did a minor finding, but I can't do that because I'm already standing on that spot. I have to move to a different one. Plus, I don't want to do that anyway. I want to publish based on this. So the best way to publish is with 4 different bones. I happen to have 3 bones. I can't do 2 legs because it's not going to have 2 different legs. But I have this, and I can throw in one of these to make it the 3rd one. And you say, well, why don't you do something else? Why don't you get that 4th one? Well, I could, but it's a little bit far away, and I'm going to try to see if I can publish as much as I can, which means I need to be able to go back and forth with this guy a little bit here. All right, so because I could publish 3, all right, I move him over here. I get to go up 1 on the loyalty track, and I get to take this bonus here, which is to upgrade a card. Well, I'm going to actually choose, since this is the end of the game, I'm going to choose to add this specialist here, and I'll be able to play her on one of my cards that shows the photograph ripped up and get that extra bonus. So that's pretty nice, isn't it? All right. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. That's available to me now. And I discard all these into the bone bag. Then I have to tuck this card. This card is a foot. Now, I wouldn't even be able to take this if I didn't have the opportunity to tuck a second one in there. So luckily I can do that. And that will generate me 2 times the reward, which is $4. 1, 2, or 4 coins, whatever. 3, 4. All right. Finally, I put the book out, and that was a 3 strength, right? So I'm going to get a 3 book here. And I'm going to put it in this slot right there. Now, these things are probably hard to see, but you can see it says times 1, times 2, times 3. There's a multiplier for where I am and where this is. So this is now scoring 3 points times the multiplier, which would be 6. I'd be getting 6 points at the end of the game for that scoring, okay? So that's where we are there. Now, we're going to look at, what are we doing here? So we're going to look at we've completed my spot. Now we're going to go back to him. He's going to draw another card. This time, he's doing a paleontologist action. The first thing we're going to do is see, can he do this first action here, which is to place claim a trophy, if you will. Well, he can't do that because he's only published 3. He's not going to claim the little one. He always claims at least the middle sections. He skips that. Is he going to try to debunk? Well, he can't debunk because he's standing on that spot since he did that last time. So he's going to try to publish, and he definitely can do that. So he moves over here. Now we're going to see which dinosaur he could actually publish. Oh, you know what? He doesn't have a dinosaur that will fit either because he has this one. So he can't publish. So he's going to skip that and go right down to the team action. I'm going to put him back where he was. In this case, he's going to accomplish this again. All right. So he has 2 actions. Actually, yeah, it would be 2 actions, I believe. It says, doesn't really make it clear, but I don't think he takes the 1. I think he would take the 2 on the back. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, I'm not sure if it's because this isn't showing that green part. I'm not sure what the story is there. But let's say he takes 2, and yeah. So he would take 2 actions from where he is. So his level, so this would normally show what? You know what? I'm going to say, because that card's not up, it's just going to match this. That's probably the truth. So he can dig, in this case, 1 more down here. He's going to take that action. His turn's going to be over. They didn't cost him a coin because of that. Now, what am I going to do? Well, it would be very handy for me to try to get my act together and get on the board and get 1 more thing I could publish. And I can't do that for points, but that would be nice because I don't have this out there. Although I might be able to pull something off if I'm really clever about it. So what I have to do is I have to look at, this is the only card that has that hammer. I just don't have anything for it, and I would be able to get 1 of these, but not a lot of the other things. That might be hard to pull off. It'd be better. Is there anything I could do? So this, I have this, and he has that in there. That'd be better. So what I could do is I could spend this action here for 2 coins plus 0. All right, so just 2 coins. And then I can put this on here. This will immediately let me take this action, which is just gain a loyalty. And I'm in the blue section, so I'm going to gain this loyalty here. Then I have 1 free move. So I can move here for 1. I can dig only on the top, unfortunately. I really needed to actually dig deeper than that. So, but that's not that many actions, and that won't help me out. Huh. So probably what's better for me to do is to spend 1 action to put this out here, get a free action to, so I have 4 actions, right? So that first one was free. That was 1. This is free. That's 2. And then I can dig here for 3. I'll have to come back for that. But I could do this. I think this is still legitimate. I could build this for 4 and then take that free bonus action to come back here and be done. I think that's all legitimate. All right, so you could see how this interplay goes, okay? Now again, at the end, you're gonna score on these reputation points, okay? And these are gonna be generated by this multiplication over here. And that's pretty much it. There's not like a whole bunch of other things. So you're doing all these different things, but it really comes down to that end piece of scoring right there. So everything else you're doing, it all feeds into this matrix. And what points you can get throughout the game. There's also little, like some small things like this. And there's a lot of variability in the way that these bonuses can come out. So there might be bonuses that I didn't see and I am not showing you that would gain points as well. You could even get some points. Oh, that's loyalty for that. No, it isn't. It's points. Yeah. So if you upgrade your storage, you can get a point instead of the $2. That's another way to do it. All right. Let me tell you what I think of this game. So Bone Wars is a very unique game, in my opinion. It really is. Even though it's card play and action kind of execution like that, the whole experience feels really like its own thing, which is really cool. I really appreciate that. I also really appreciate that the solo is competitive and it's just like you're playing on your own. And the reason is because I appreciate a good automa that follows all the kind of constraints that I have to, that doesn't just run up the scoreboard, and you don't feel that here. You feel like you're playing against a competitive, smart automa, which you can up the difficulty if you need to, but I mean, beats me when I play it so far, but it's close. So that's the other thing. This is a very low scoring game, at least in my experience, right? Like the game I was just demonstrating to you, the automa had 23, I had 21. And those are really kind of low scores considering all the things going on. This is not a point salad. It all comes down to those books. And that is something I think is really cool. I love manipulating the scoring track. I really appreciated doing that in Sencore. And this has a similar, but not necessarily as involved kind of feel to it. It's just cool to be able to flip your alliance, try to run up on this track, then rob books from there and put it over here. Or, if you see that the solo is going, or the opponent's going up trying to do something else. I just like that ability, that dynamic. And that keeps you guessing throughout the whole game. Like, when the dust settles, how am I going to do? Really cool. I like that a lot. So this game, with regards to the publishing of papers, is kind of like the run-of-the-mill contract fulfillment. But because those contracts need to be put into different slots, and because you sometimes need them to do a wild card action, if you don't have the right cards, you leave a lot of opportunity on the table. So you need to manage the money so you can fund the actions, the right cards so you can take the right ones you want, the right capabilities. There's just a lot to think about, which is good. I like that. This is not a run-of-the-mill game. And I would say it's probably like a medium-heavy complexity because of that. The rulebook is done pretty well, but again, I don't know if it's just my state in life or whatever. I feel like I got to read the rulebook and then just plow through it to learn. I did print off a little Bone Wars. This was a player aid found on Board Game Geek. I really appreciated that to the author who did this. I think it's one of the few that's on there. The only thing that's really tough is because it's on one page in my printer, at least, it's really hard to read. But that's just, I'm sure you can work around that if you need to. It just summarizes all the different actions that you can take in this game. There's lots of little nuances, but it does a good job there. I think that should have absolutely been included in the game. There's no doubt about it. But because there's fat chance of this game getting kind of updated anytime soon, I'm not worried about it. In general, if you still can find a copy of Bone Wars, I highly recommend it for its solo mode. It seems like if you play with multiple people, this game could go long. I mean, it definitely felt like it didn't drag at all with two-player with one player solo. It was moving along because those turns are happening quick, and you're not nearly as getting as deep as you want into everything in a single round. You're going to try to publish maybe once or twice, get to some team actions, and then the round's over. So it's not a long game per se that way, but I think it could trip up a lot of people thinking, overthinking, triple thinking, analyzing the board. There's a lot of content to go into. What decision do I need to make now, and which decisions do I need to make so that I can continue to take all the turns I expect to take and don't run out of money, run out of the right card. Many times I'm like, oh, the card I need to play, I have to use for my discovery. I can't play it for a while. How do I get more cards? Oh, shoot, I should have taken some more of the paleontologist because then I could have published more. How could I have done that? Well, maybe if I had gotten a bonus here, or I had, taken a different profession that couldn't give you some more of them. Lots of good stuff to think about. And one of the things I didn't really talk about was that even the spot where your university sits gives you a specific bonus. It could be a movement bonus. It could be a financial bonus. It could be all sorts of different things. So there's a lot of content going on in this game. Now, I will say that I'm not sure there are multiple different strategies to go on, right? This is a very involved but a very tactical game. It's not like I'm going to focus this time on this strategy. I'm going to focus this time on that strategy. Absolutely not. The only way to score points is publishing and getting up on those loyalty tracks. That's it. Besides a little bit of point scoring you can do, like I said, by upgrading your capacity or by tucking in those minor things, you can get a few points there. But really, it's not like there's tons of strategies in this big sandbox game. That's not this type of game. This is a very tactical but very interesting and decision-rich game. And also it's a tactical game without being a point salad, which I think is unique enough. Like usually tactical games, I get a little points for this, get a little points for that, I get a little points for this, not in this game. Now, you do get little rewards here and there for doing things which fund you to keep going, which I like that. I've always been a big fan of that kind of mechanic. I got to take this so that I can afford to do this because that's going to lead to that. Love it. So anyway, lots of cool stuff going on here. This is definitely a B tier game starting. I could see this becoming an A tier game as I get better and better at it because I definitely don't feel like I've mastered the game by any means yet, but I definitely had enough of a good understanding to feel like I could give this review. Yes, solid upper B tier game, could be an A tier for me. And I hope this was helpful to you. I know there's still a couple of copies out there in the wild, so if you want to get them and you think this is important, you may want to order them as soon as possible before they sell out because Game Brewer is out of business. That's the publisher. They had like 100 copies left on their site last time I checked, which is about a week ago, and there's still a few at different local game stores around the globe. So take a look. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.